like I struggle even to this point to like find a single person in my, realm of existence in my circle who like had any form of entrepreneurial like vision or just even success or just, I didn't have that example, right?
All right, folks, we are back for another episode of You Are Not Your ROAS. If you are watching this, you will notice that I dressed up because the show guest is so high caliber. I had to try to impress him. I've known Aaron for a while, and this has been a long time coming. So I finally chased him down, had to grease some palms, but here we are. Aaron Paul, welcome to the show.
Dude, what a welcome. I didn't know my time on Breaking Bad would result on in this pod right now, and our worlds colliding. But thanks for dressing up, man. You look good, bro.
Of course, anything for you. So you have a really interesting story. Before we get into that, I kind of want to get back to the start of it. So you're originally born Bahrain, moved to Toronto, and then you're also sharing Texas with me as well. Tell me a little bit about that journey, because I was just in Europe for 30 days. And
sick.
Dude, there is a certain aspect of if you're born in the States, Canada, or Western Europe, you've kind of already won. Like, I mean, it is. So tell me a little bit about that travel, because I was just talking to so many awesome entrepreneurs that had crazy visa issues and so like, give me a little bit of color about how you came from the Middle East, essentially, then Canada, and then landed in Tejas.
Dude, yeah, man, I can get into that a little bit. And it's so funny because like I just got back from Barcelona, and it's
favorite city in Europe.
Yeah, dude. So my wife got to come with me, and she's from Oklahoma, so she has like an American passport. Like she'll walk into any country she wants, no issues. And like I had to drive to Houston, like 3 hours one way, like do a 25-minute appointment at the Spanish embassy to get like a visa stamp in order for you to fly, and then 3 hours back. So like the struggle was like pretty wild, right? So yeah, dude. So my parents are Indian, shout out my brown crew. I was raised in Bahrain, and dude, obviously it's a very comfortable place to live in, but right. Like it really all depends, right? It's a incredible country to grow up and, build community. And, I had incredible relationships growing up, and I'm still close to a lot of people to this day. But like, it's sort of a culture where you're born into a system and you just follow the system, right? No, like I struggle even to this point to like find a single person in my, realm of existence in my circle who like had any form of entrepreneurial like vision or just even success or just, I didn't have that example, right? And it's almost as if everyone went to school, tried to be the best at school. I sucked at school. So like for a very long part of my life, I thought I was going to end up homeless somewhere. It was almost as if like everyone went to school to get the best marks and best score in order to work wherever their dads worked, right? It was sort of like, hey, do the best you can so that you can go work with your dad or like wherever your parents work. So I like from a very long time ago, I'm like, there's got to be more to this, because both my dad and I, we share, I think, a common thing, which is we're obsessed with high-functioning people, right? The difference with him and me is he's obsessed with high-functioning people in the Christian space, because my dad's he's an elder, like he travels the world speaking at churches and things of that nature. I, on the other hand, was like obsessed with high functioning people in like sports and like business and like, entertainment. And like, how did they do what they do? Like, I think for a very long time, that was sort of what I had just clung on to a little bit. And I thought like, I think I was like probably 10 or 11, and I had all these cousins and relatives in the United States. And, I'm like, like, why is it that like a lot of my cousins in the US like turn out to be doctors and like engineers and, owning their own thing? And whereas like people in Bahrain are like just working at like an advertising shop or like a print shop. I'm not downing on that, but it's more or less like, hey, how did they get that path, right? Like, what was different here and there? So for a very long time, I was like, all right, I just got to make it out of here. And for a very long time, I still remember this conversation I had with my uncle where he asked me, I was probably like 10 or 11, and he asked me what I wanted to do growing up. And I was like, I don't know what I want to do, but like it would be cool to have a billboard in Times Square one day, right? And I've never been to New York at that point. I just knew that advertising was awesome, and like, I was always like enamored by like high quality advertising, and like Times Square was a mecca of it. And then honestly, like fast forward, like in 2016, like literally a year of me being in Toronto, like I got to have our billboard on top of the ABC Super Sign. It was like a surreal moment.
Let's go.
Like, I think back then, even then, I just kind of had this feeling that that's where I wanted to go. And I knew that for me to go down that path, I would have had to leave Bahrain and make it to North America, right? So after high school, like I went to India. I spent 3 years in India.
Really?
I lived in Bangalore for 3 years, and it was awesome.
Oh, wow.
Like, dude, I like all I did was play music. I was like in a metal band playing drums, and like we were
Really?
yeah, it was awesome, bro.
Max is actually a drummer as well.
No way, that's sick, bro. Like, dude, there's a lot of like
Yeah.
music in the DDC space, so we should have a concert one day.
DDC rock out. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, bro. Like something like, like just let's have like something like Snarky Puppy would do, just like everyone has phones and listens to people jamming. Like, so I all I did in India for 3 years was just play music, and we did some cool stuff. We recorded like a lot of music, and it was just a good time.
What was your band called?
House of Penelope, which
love it.
We just like pulled it out of like thin air. I was in a band in Bahrain too, and we like did really cool things. Like we played at the Formula One track, and you were in the newspaper as like a bunch
really
15-year-olds. That one was called Adam and Eve, so I'm a little proud of that name for sure. It's a play on Adam and Eve for sure. Like it was funny. And so yeah, I thought music was gonna be, I think, a path that I would have gone down, but like quickly started to realize that I like hated the craft, or hated the process or the work behind the craft, because playing the music was like 5% of the job, right? Keep in mind, I've been in school this whole time and like, barely working on that. So anyway, the end of my 3 years in Bangalore, I just called my dad up and I'm like, I don't think I want to play music anymore. I don't want to be in India anymore. It's weird because like, even though I'm Indian, like because I was from Bahrain, there's this wall that, I sensed me and folks there. So I just didn't seem like comfortable. I enjoyed my 3 years there. It's the most fun I've ever had to this day. Went back to Bahrain and I spent 2 months just like planning out the next 10 years of my life, essentially, right? Like, I'm like, all right, what do I want to do? What can I do? So I quickly understood that I wanted to be in some form of marketing. Not a lot of people in Bahrain at the time understood social. So I joined a company that owned like 80% of the fine dining restaurants in Bahrain at the time. And if you've been to the Middle East, the one thing that you do is eat, right? Like it's all you do is eat. And so to have worked with those caliber of restaurants and seeing some of the best chefs in my life just work and being able to document what they were, essentially making on a daily basis and like getting people excited to like show up at the restaurants and eat the food. I saw like the true power of social back then, right? So it's funny because even to this day, they are still like using the tactics I like set like years ago. Like,
let's go.
So it kind of stood the test of time there, and it was awesome, man. Like just growing in social, like understanding that space, understanding visual, creative, brand. That was sort of my world. And then I moved to Canada, Toronto, in August of 2015. So not that long ago. And I had this weird sort of naivety, but like when I moved there, I'm like, oh man, my experience in Bahrain, like I'm for sure getting like a sick job the minute I land, right? And that could not have been like further from the truth. Like, dude, my first job in Canada was selling credit cards at a Shell gas station in Markham, like in negative 50 weather. Like it was ridiculous, bro. And more than anything else, I think it humbled me, like, but at the same time, I had a lot of joy in doing that because, like, it's a grind, bro. Like, it truly taught me the power of, like, just hard work and hustle and, like, the power of like, people. But it's funny. The one thing that you mentioned earlier, the minute I landed, I have a lot of cousins in Canada and in the U.S. I just, like, observed their lives. And I'm like, man, from where I'm coming from, like looking at these guys who are still my best friends to this day, like I talk to them every day. It's just the people that welcome me into their community in Toronto. I'll look at them being like, man, you guys have like a cheat code to life,
Yes.
being born in North America, like, having access to literally anything you want to do. And I kind of like approached it from a lens of how can I work 5 times as hard to get to where you are today, right? So that, dude, like Bahrain has no like taxes, like we have no mortgage, like there's no concept of good debt in Bahrain. There's no concept of like saving up to buy a house. Like it's a very different lifestyle, right? So I had to learn the country. I had to learn the system. I had to learn how people like talk. I had to learn cultures and tone, and I had to learn just people's behavioral, like, responses to things and culture. And it was a incredible learning experience. And I think the job at the Shell gas station, man, like that was like, I got to learn like how people behaved. Right. And that was incredible learning for me. And I did that for about 3 to 4 months. And then I got the best job in the world right after that. So do you know what a cinematograph is?
Why do I know what that is? But explain it to me. I think I know, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, so a cinematograph is a hybrid between a photo and a video. So if you've seen those like still images of, let's just say, a lady,
yes,
and like she's completely still, but like her hair is moving, like the water is flowing. So I worked at Flixel. I started as an intern and went on to like manage like brand and partnerships and do a lot of cool stuff there. Flixel was the founders of Cinematograph Pro, the app that allowed you to do that. And
that's why I know I played with that before. Yes. Yeah. Because I used to be in photography, and that was one of the for people that the Too Long didn't read is you basically take a still, and there's certain parts of that still that you would animate. And so to your point, like if you take a beautiful picture of a woman, and then you can make her hair flow or whatever, and it adds this really interesting, almost I wouldn't say like psychedelic, but it's this almost like trippy vibe. They're very intoxicating.
Yeah, it was gorgeous to look at. And it was very much a creative first company in the beginning. I mean, it was awesome because like we won an Apple Design Award. Like we had Tyra Banks invest into the company, and like like for I think I forget what season, like, but it was just every period between like the shots in America's Next Top Model like was a cinematograph, and like our team was there building that, producing it on the fly.
Wow.
Like we got 2 divisions at that business, one where we built the software and an agency side where we were building cinematograph campaigns for like Mercedes and Disney and Nike and ESPN. Like, so I got this, like, it was like a incredible masterclass and bachelor's degree in terms of a couple of things: how to work with, work on a product tool, right? Like how to market a product, it was expensive. It was like $3.99 a year for like an app that basically did one thing. How to get people excited from that. We at that stage was like pretty much at the forefront of video as ads on Facebook. So like Cinematograph, we started doing multiple case studies with like Mercedes and like brands of that caliber to say Cinematographs just would outperform still images all the time. So we were a Facebook marketing partner, kind of like showing out these like case studies, working with some incredible brands like Tide and stuff. And on the other side, we had the agency side where we're just building these campaigns for, United Nations, like Disney, like we were on the red carpet at like, movie premieres. Like it was awesome to just see the experiential side of that as well.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I also had like a direct access to Phil, the founder of Flixel, who's a dear friend to this day. For me, it was like the first time I looked at somebody who, coming from where I'm coming from, like you had like a dumb idea, which is making moving images, and you built a company out of that. Like that would have never happened in Bahrain, right? Like, so like being able to see like someone with this like incredibly novel idea, and then built it to a place where he was able to hire some of the most incredible people, unite on this vision and this mission to like, make cinemagraphs the next medium in the world next to images and video. And then it's a cinematograph. I was like, dang, that's wild. They were able to do that. Like, that's crazy. So like, I was at that company for 3.5, almost 4 years. Like we got to work with everyone from like Casey Neistat to like, the best creators in the world, photographers in the world. Like, we were just having a good time, man, and I think that was my masterclass, my bachelor's degree of anything to do with business, coming into Toronto. So I feel incredibly grateful and thankful that I was able to go through that process. And then at the end of Flixwell, I joined a company called format.com, which is essentially a Squarespace for photographers. Extremely competitive, vertical, and they saw some success, and I think they really were the tool to go to for if you were a photographer, a professional-ish photographer starting out. Format was the place to host your website, but I just didn't feel like passionate about like that, just that world. And I ended up at that time I was there for like 8 months, and at the end of it, I was like, we mutually parted ways, and I ended up like not wanting to work for like a couple of months, just because since I landed in Toronto, I was just like go, and
burnout's a real thing, dude.
It really was, and at the time I took like 2 to 3 months away. I was like on the West Coast doing a road trip, and I got a call from a recruiter on behalf of a affiliate network called Jumbleberry. And I got on calls like, affiliate, I managed affiliate at Flix, so I managed affiliate at Format. Like, I've done affiliate for a while, like, and it was a very successful like channel for us at both companies. And I took the call, and he was like, the call essentially was, hey, we were looking for someone to come in and help build out the direct-to-consumer division at Jumbleberry. And I've always been obsessed with direct-to-consumer. My first DTC purchase was a pair of Warby Parkers in 2011 or 2012, where I bought it. They shipped it to Jersey, where my cousin lived, and 3 months later, when he visited Bahrain, is when he brought me my pair of glasses. Right? It was the longest shipping cycle ever. But like, to me, that was the only way I could get my hands on. Oh wow! Like, people got together, like had an idea and made it happen, and now they can ship it to anywhere in the United States, and like they're taking on like big
now
companies.
They have retail.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? So like, that was my first DTC purchase. I was just obsessed with like the idea of direct to consumer. So when Jumbleberry came about saying, hey, they wanted to build a direct to consumer division underneath the company, I was very like excited by that idea. So I met Matt Dobson. I think Matt.
Love Matt.
Yeah. So Matt's like my favorite human in the world. Like I
people.
I have a whole episode on how much I have learned from him and how much I owe him. But he's an incredible human. So Matt and I think our first meeting itself was like a 2-hour meeting where he just laid out the idea of like, hey man, this world of affiliate marketing that he was in was rough, but like had seen insane levels of scale and numbers like you would not believe. Like, if you were to take those tactics and marry them with some of the best direct-to-consumer brands, this is like a cold customer acquisition engine like nothing you've ever seen. And it was an idea for him and the company, and we went in. I joined the company, and dude, like one of the first brands I worked on was a muscle care. It was called Muscle Care. It was like a roll-on product where essentially had no direct-to-consumer like presence at all. So I was like in the Shopify building out the SKUs, like I was writing out the advertorials, like working with our team to build out like the landing pages, like doing calling customer success people to like get them on retainer to like make sure like, when the orders come in, they're taking care of it. I was on the Facebook ads, like, like responding to comments. But effectively what we did was we took that campaign and went to some of the best media buying affiliates in the world. And we told them, hey, here's a CPA that makes sense for the advertiser to pay. Go crazy on Facebook and whatever other channel, and let's make some money here. The brand did not exist like on direct to consumer prior to us starting, essentially. And I think within a month and a half, like we did 2 million in sales. Right.
Let's go.
And I was like, this is the first time I like saw like money of that, like at that level. I'm like, oh my gosh, like these little tactics.
There's commas in here, multiple commas. What's going on?
It's crazy. So like, just to see like, hey, like just a very simple approach of, understanding consumer behavior and like setting out an offer and like arbitraging with the right media buyers in order to make it worth their while and identifying unit economics in a way that made sense resulted in this much revenue. That is wild. So like we essentially piloted it out with like Muscle Care and a couple of other brands. And then we took this idea, went to Goalie Nutrition, who, we've been friends with for a while because they're also in the affiliate space. On it, we work with Chef's Plate, which is a brand underneath HelloFresh. Dude, so over like 3 years, we worked with like Glymatic and Roman and Rory and like Pet Lab Co., some of the best direct-to-consumer businesses.
Blue chip. This is absolutely
dude, like,
top tier.
Wild. And we did like over 200 million in affiliate revenue, right? We're talking hundreds, thousands of sales a day on an affiliate model.
Wow.
And dude, like that was incredible learning for us. And, we went through that process and yeah, man, I burnt out at the end of it at 3 years, working at cause it was a grind.
Yes.
From like 3 people to like 25 people within like 3 years. And it was incredibly crazy, but like also super, super awesome to just go through. But I burnt out. I'd gotten married at that time, and we made a decision to leave Toronto. And she's from Oklahoma, like I talked about, and we decided not to go to Oklahoma. That was her decision, not mine. I love it.
Great decision.
But we picked
OKC's not horrible. OKC's not horrible. It's not Austin. It's not Austin.
It's hard to compare, but like if you were to compare, like Austin's awesome, right? So we picked Austin, and dude, it's, I would say, one of the best decisions we've made. Just coming here felt like coming home, because folks like you and like the crew here, it doesn't take long for them to welcome you as with no ego or agenda or like judgment, you know what I mean? Coming from somewhere like from Bahrain all the way to Austin, like man, that was my journey, man. I'm an affiliate nerd now. I'm a direct to consumer nerd, and we're shaking some stuff up, but it's been quite the journey, man. 8 years, ago was when I moved here. So I've had to like just spend the little time that I've had just trying to catch up, and I still feel like I'm playing catch up, right? So, it's been awesome so far.
Wow, that is an absolutely incredible journey, man. I love the drummer. I love the getting into the places, and I love the idea too. I think that's one of the things that is so useful, especially when you're younger, is to get into a place of burnout where then because there's that saying, like, you don't know where the line is until you cross it. And it's one of those, like, I've had kind of multiple now where it's like, I don't regret the decision, but I don't know if I would go back to it. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, there's a certain aspect of like some of these early stage things take so much out of you. You don't necessarily show up well in your relationships. You might kind of neglect health or other important things in your life. And so it's really good to have that. And I also had a background in sales as well. So I went to school for economics, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to get this big cushy job when I get out of school. And I come out in the '08 crisis, and did not land as well. But dude, that's a beautiful journey, man. I love that, Aaron. Okay, let's wrap up the main segment and let's get nerdy on affiliate. What's the nicest thing someone's done for you?
Dude, I think the nicest thing that someone's done for me is my dad paying for my tuition and my first couple of months in Canada. And I did a couple of courses in Canada. He paid for all of that. And it's Bahrain. So like, I'm talking, he has no money in order to like help support that. I think if he didn't help me out with that, I would not have been given the room to like, learn as fast as I possibly could have, and that gave me a little bit of wiggle room to, just like not hustle us in the wrong places. You know what I mean? So
yes. Oh, that's so well put.
Yeah. That's the nicest thing I think anyone's ever done for me. I mean, there's so many things, people have opened doors, people have taken a chance on me with, from someone that's not from here and things of that nature. But like, it comes into my dad, man, just my parents in general, like they just sacrificed so much so I could be here talking to you today.
I love that. Powerful Papa Paul. That's amazing. And I think you're so right with that, where it's, dude, like you got to do what you got to do when you got to do it. But man, it's really hard to go to an 8-hour a day job, getting paid pennies. It's like one of those brain dead jobs. And then than hustle and explore and like being able to like, yeah, that's absolutely a godsend. Okay, let's get in the value add segment. This is the reason that people bought the ticket. Tell me kind of how you think of affiliate marketing. I guess at the start, for people that aren't super hip, how would you describe affiliate marketing to a 5-year-old?
Yeah, it's incentivizing somebody to talk about you is the very easiest way to describe it to somebody. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. I'll do a lot of like these mentor pass calls, or like, you know, even
shout out Kenny. He just moved to Austin, by the way.
Doesn't he live in your building or something?
He's in my building now. Yeah. I got him here.
Posted the other day, or like, was that?
He did not get. He's on the first floor. He did not get stuck in the elevator. He was going to get this really cool space. And he took too long, and then he was going to get another spot, and then I talked him into coming in the building. But yeah, he was not stuck in the elevators, which are now fixed. So shout out building. But yeah, this building it falls apart. But
yeah, he does look like someone that would take the stairs though. So he should have been
fair play.
Yeah.
That's a great. He probably does take the stairs. Yeah.
You know what?
Totally.
That's a great compliment. So Kenny, like you look good, bro. Yeah,
you look good. 100%.
Yeah, so I'll have a lot of calls with our like just on Mentor Pass, or like brands that sign with us at Paul Street. It's interesting. Like, you know, you could get a room full of the most talented marketers in the space, and you know, and throw a couple rocks on a couple of them and ask them what affiliate marketing is, and chances are you're going to get a different answer every single time, right?
Yep.
Affiliate at the end of the day is sort of this like, if you were to say, hey, how do you grow your brand? Oh, I do marketing. What does that mean? Like, it's so broad. Affiliate is pretty broad, bro. So I think to really dumb it down, like I talked about earlier, it's like, how can you find a way to incentivize somebody else to drive you a customer or perform a agreed upon action, right? So I tackle it in 4 ways. So the first division or first cohort of how I think of affiliate is content and content publishers, right? So how do you work with, like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 publishers, tier 1 being the mass media, publications of Hearst and Condé Nast and Ziff Davis and Dotdash Meredith. It's the big 4 in the publisher space, and they own everything from GQ to Wirecutter to AskMen to InStyle to like Vogue. How do you get in front of them in order in allow them to become technically affiliates for your company, right? How can they build stores, include you into like listicles and like roundups and things of that nature? So, but we see more value in like the tier 2, tier 3 publications, whereas like, let's just say, if you're someone that's selling a specific type of a putter, like sure, you want to be involved in Golf Digest, but like, think about those niche websites that like golf nerds like spend more time on than Golf Digest. Like that's where you want to go. Like people are intentionally going and seeking out those publications. So we've seen that these tier 2, tier 3 niche sites drive more sales than like a publisher at like a Vogue or a GQ or something of that nature. So like most tier 1 publications can also charge you like $50,000 to drive you 6 sales. So it's like probably a terrible ROI, but like you want to approach that from like a brand angle and like, you know, find creative ways to work with them. And that's something that we're doing is we're having like crazy conversations with the big 4, you know, publications and mass media companies in terms of revisiting how they work. I'm like, hey, we have this new model that you could work with brands on. That could be potentially a net new line item on your P&L. Like, let's 100%. Talk about it. Like, they're just 100-year-old companies that are so stuck in their ways. But like, hey, the potential for change is there. So that gets us really excited. Under that content publication and also other sources, we do a lot of, perks and like loyalty stuff with like, hey, if you're an American Express cardholder, how can Liquid IV be a perk underneath that, underneath you being a cardholder for American?
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that's a form of affiliate, so traditional sources of that nature. The one thing we don't do is couponing, which can also fall under that bracket. Is we don't do any couponing purely because we've seen that more than it hurting attribution for the brand, like it also steals customers away from like publishers, right? So it gets in the way of a meaningful conversation with a publisher. So we don't do any couponing. I believe if you're doing under like a 500 million to potentially 800 million a year in revenue, like you should not be touching coupons, right? At a certain
more.
scale, like that's when coupons can help someone make a decision. And there's tactical ways to add incentive to a customer that, price might be the issue, but like going down a coupon site is not great, right? So that is not something that we do. I've yet to turn on a coupon site in the last like 6 years that we've been doing this. But yeah.
And to your point, dude, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think there's one, it not only distorts the economics, but two, you get the Groupon effect. So shout out Andrew Mason, had a great exit. I think he's still doing his audio thing. Really awesome entrepreneur. But for the kids out there, Groupon was basically this site that was essentially like a perpetual affiliate deal, right? Like there was just all these deals of the days, blah, blah, blah. And what happened once the data kind of matured in the next 2 to 3 years, people were realizing that it was just a net negative for the business. You're getting people that don't want to pay full price and want like the actual like luxury experience. So it was the worst of both worlds where you had to overserve somebody that was underpaying you. And there was just this really terrible, you were just getting cohorts of people that candidly you just didn't want. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with like the TJ Maxxes of the world and stuff like that, but that's just a total different business. And you don't want to bring those people into your core business if you don't need to. And even if you do need to, then you should actually work on the fundamentals of your business so you don't need to bring them in versus bringing these people in, because it was just such a net negative. For not only that, you get the brand equity starts to get kind of siphoned away as well, because you might be a premium brand that now seems, less premium because you're discounting, you're getting people that might not be in the representative cohort that you have. So I think you're spot on with that. I think couponing and discounting should be very, very taken with, you want to be very tactical in how you do that. And I agree with you on the couponing. It just is very rarely, I think, is price the issue. It's just the easiest way to say no, where, oh, that's too expensive, versus like, hey, you're not actually being able to articulate the value clear enough to this consumer, and so therefore they don't want to hire you for the job to be done. So yeah, I'm totally on board with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. Like coupon's a tactic, not a strategy, right? And there's a room for it, in given the right strategy. I mean, I look at it as like a fad diet, right? It feels good when you're doing it, you see immediate results, but like it's gonna hurt you long term. And like,
so well put.
I think for operators that are truly trying to build a long-term brand, because now we know the importance of a building brand, because you can't rely on a certain source to just turn on an ad and see customers and call it a business. This is something you have to like truly take and consider in developing an affiliate strategy. So yeah, I think we can we're on the same page with that. That's something that we lead in with. One of the things we do at Paul Street is, even if a brand comes to us with a coupon chart, we turn it off like right away, because I'm like, hey man, let's focus on these other channels first and then come back to couponing if you want it, right?
Love that.
It's just not like the right avenue for us to invest our time and energy into right now. So and then the second division where we're focusing a lot of our efforts on is media buying affiliates. So this is a great this is a tactic that a lot of massive brands like Chef's Plate and like Glamnetic and Goalie and On It to this day, a lot of them still like go down, is they would go and recruit these media buyers that were the best in their domain. So like a media buyer that was great at Taboola or Outbrain, TikTok, YouTube through BSLs, like Tapjoy traffic, and because they're great at that one channel, we would go and see this as a option and an avenue to diversify where you're acquiring customers from. And we'd go give them a set CPA, being like, hey, we're okay to pay like $60 for customers through this channel. We don't care if you're acquiring them for $10, $15. It's an arbitrage game. Let's scale it up, right? And this has been a massive unlock for how a lot of brands, acquire customers through media buying affiliates. And I mean, to this day, like even On It, runs a lot of affiliate traffic on their paid media internally. So if you go to the Facebook ads library on it right now and you see an Alpha Brain ad, chances are that's an affiliate running it from the On It page, right? Because the brand has this stage seeing, hey, it's more like it's easier for them to give a set CPA to a media buyer on Facebook and have them drive traffic rather than their internal marketing team, because now this allows their marketing team to focus more on like retention and lifecycle and keeping that customer. whereas they look at affiliate as sort of this engine to bring in cold customers, right? So that is another tactic within which how a lot of brands are scaling, and you'd be surprised, like some of the best and biggest direct-to-consumer brands. This is one of the main strategies that they employ internally for cold customer acquisition.
Let me plant a flag there because I love that. So I actually used to work at Onnit. I was Aubrey's right-hand man for a little while. Shout out. They got a massive exit. Unilever, let's go. Jason Havey was CEO at the time, one of the best executives I've ever worked with, just a really, really wonderful human. But yeah, we saw a ton of performance in that affiliate world. And to your point, it was really awesome because it did free up the marketing department to work on those big brand awareness campaigns, to drive certain products, to do these other things. And so it was something that I was never familiar with until I finally saw the behind the scenes. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's a really incredible. In a way, it's a bit of a hedge too, because to your point, if you're not hitting your performance targets, you're not really paying anything. And so it's this beautiful arbitrage game without taking on any risk. So anywho, I just wanted to throw that in there because when I was at Onnit, we saw a ton of success through that. And the one thing that I wanted to ask you though is one of the challenges when you do get that affiliate media buying is there's some brands that are very rigorous in terms of how they're presented. Is there guidelines that you give these affiliates? Do you make the actual assets for them and say, hey, here's a set of assets that you can run, figure out the best way to run them? Or how do you keep that kind of, quote unquote, on brand, if you will? Or do some people just not care?
Our portfolio of companies are some of the best in the world right now. We have everyone like Hexclat to Liquid IV to Dyson.
Jason.
Yeah, we work with brands that typically do over 50 million a year. And at that level, they are a brand, right? There are guidelines set in place. So to answer your question, like no piece of creative or message or copy goes live without like double approval. You know what I mean? So
Love
it's almost
that.
as two-factor authentication because
I'm going to steal that. That's amazing. Two-factor brand authentication. That's amazing. Like the nuclear key, you both have to turn at the same time. That's so good. That's so good.
What we realized is affiliates have realized this where like, hey, it's not worth it to go and like test something without approval, right? Because there are names, there are like certain ways within which how the product is positioned. And so we do this two ways, right? We work with the brand in order to set an evergreen a folder of just ads all the time, assets that we fill in.
I love that
affiliates can pull from. But here's the thing, like even if they pull from it, they still have to, submit the approval for approval, what they want to, like the copy that accompanies those pieces of creative.
Yep.
There's still like, a lot of process around that. And then the second thing is if these affiliates, because for example, like we have a lot of TikTok affiliates that are like producing like hundreds of creatives a week on an arbitrage model for the brands that I kind of mentioned earlier, right? So at that scale, like it's not the brand that's creating this, it's the TikTok affiliate media buying agency that's creating these ads for our brands. So the way we kind of enable them to be successful is by building this ironclad like brand buyable and guideline document where that's what they have to abide by. And if there are certain things that they want to kind of test, we go through a process, depending on if it's a health and wellness company, go through their legal teams to like get everything approved. Because here's the thing, man, like this form of affiliate is a long-term play. Like it's the same like 6 to 7 affiliates on it that we were scaling with like 5 years ago, 4 years ago, right? It's like, it's a long-term game. So both the brand and the affiliate kind of understands that this is a long-term game. It's like fully transparent. We're having dinners together.
Beautiful.
We're like, everything's by the book and transparent. This is new. I think our biggest challenge has been brands when we first bring them through this process. It's more education than it is anything else that, we've had to, spend more time on, purely because working with affiliates, like a lot of, and this is why we don't typically like working with like media buyers who are CMOs, you know what I mean? Like they don't I would say like there's a struggle for them to understand like the long-term vision around like where this can go, because you're just so knee deep in like, day-to-day tactics and like, this didn't go according to, so it's more education that we have to kind of, walk through, because once we get to that like perfect like situation, like it's beautiful to just scale with, right? So yeah, to answer your question, like everything's kind of fully dialed in. Nothing goes live without approval. And if it does, I mean, we all our affiliates and our buyers know that it's a one strike policy.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful because I have a belief that I don't think people are good or bad. They just do what they're incentivized to do. And so having that incentive alignment and that long-term vision of like, hey guys, we're here not for this quick pump. Because to be fair, there's definitely some black hat affiliates out there where you're just trying to get some money, and then you can get in, especially in the SaaS space, you can get in some weird places of like, how much are you paying out? What's going on? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's these codes that are getting out and stuff like that. So I think that's beautiful. What are the biggest mistakes you see when you see people trying to spin up an affiliate program and then they just write it off?
Yeah, I think a lot of brands kind of go down the route of when they think the word affiliate, they think, oh yeah, let's set up an impact program, a share sell program, and
right.
The minute we have an affiliate program, like they believe that you're going to have like 100 affiliates kind of line up at the door waiting to run your brand, right? Or run your, and it'd be affiliates for you. Could be farther from the truth because I don't care if you're like a brand like Nike, like doing billions a year in revenue, or a brand that's doing like $20,000 a month in revenue. Like in any sense of the word, affiliates have all the leverage, right? All the leverage, because they can just go to like your competitor and run what they want. And the truth and the best affiliates in the world are like powerful in terms of driving sales and in a true incremental fashion, right? So I'd say the best way to approach this is to approach it with a lot of intent and strategy with the right affiliate, right? So the minute you have your affiliate program, reach out to who you want to work with. It's similar to, let's just say you have an influencer program, you kind of have an idea of the influencers you want to go work with, right? And when you pick up the phone and you're in conversations with them, you're kind of tailoring the program based on what this influencer needs in order to be successful in driving customers to you or being a creator for the brand, right? So similar to that, like you want to have those high-level conversations with an affiliate partner in saying, hey, like, what does it take for you guys to, find this opportunity to be lucrative for you, right? And have that conversation. A lot of other brands also like will just cap it at 10% of order, right? Because that's like the industry standard, right? Industry standards, I hate that word because no one disrupts anything if you're sitting at industry standard all the time. And
that's a good line.
It's almost as if brands go to affiliates and be like, hey, we would love for you to be an affiliate partner. We're able to offer 10% of order, 15% of order. And affiliates kind of just look at them and like, sure, like, it's like they hear it every single day. And I always tell brands, I'm like, hey, if you're comfortable paying Facebook, if you're comfortable paying Facebook 80 to 100% commission, of order, be comfortable paying that internal target CAC to an affiliate partner to help him, be successful in the beginning. Because here's what's going to happen. Once an affiliate partner sees success, kind of won them forever. They want to be long-term partners. And that's when, like, instead of them writing a blog, a one-time blog, they start to like come to you with ideas. Hey, I believe there's more articles we can write. There's more like, angles that we can kind of test. And they truly become a partner. So I'd say, like, you want to hire the best employees internally, you want to pay them what they're worth, pay the affiliates what they're worth. So don't just spin up a program, set it at 10 to 15% of order and call it a day, because sure, you see some success with it, but like it turns out to be, the brand will have to keep feeding that machine and that engine consistently with new affiliates to keep the program running. It's never going to be consistent. It's going to burst of volume in and out. But yeah.
No, I love that. I think that's a brilliant way to think of it.
Yeah, the other two things that we're doing at Paul Street is also we're obviously like enabling a lot of creators and influencers and ambassadors as affiliate. The best affiliate tool for influencers and creators is Super Affiliate, hands down. Like no one else comes close. So shout out Anders and Andy, like they're building an incredible tool. So check that out. But like incentivizing them just like you would affiliates, that can be a really powerful like avenue. And I saw this with Goalie. Like if you go to partners.goalie.com, this is their own like affiliate network or like influencer network that they own, right? They own the entire technology, and like it's a group of, I think, over 25,000 influencers that they have access to, right? It's more powerful than a community almost, you know what I mean? Because everyone's kind of recruited into this program to become affiliates for the brand. And so that's a route that we think, is very, very scalable for a lot of brands if you're doing it right. And then the fourth one is brand to brand partnerships, right? For example, it's like,
how can that
and Fabletics come together and create a campaign for 3 months where both, they're not in direct competition with each other, but they're complementary to each other. And this also serve as a story that our content buyers can talk about in their.
Love that.
This is a campaign that our media buying affiliates can run. And also this is something that our influencers and creators are excited to talk about because these are two incredible brands. So we're starting to find more performance-based, like brand to brand partnerships.
I love that.
We're also I can't say too much, but for some of our brands, we're bringing in high caliber celebrities, similar to what like Gordon is to a Hexflat and like with Selena. So we're bringing a lot of those types of relationships, but instead of it purely being just equity and a flat fee, we're incentivizing them quite heavily on a performance deal, and that's turning to be pretty massive. But
well, I love the Hexclad stuff, and candidly, that is like a pseudo brand to brand, right? Instead of an actual brand, you're just talking about a personal brand, whether it be Gordon Ramsay's personal brand or X, Y, or Z. So I love that, man. I think that's brilliant. And to your point, you're just giving more ammunition to the rest of the tribe that is already supporting this. So I think that's brilliant. I love that. Okay, one more question, and then we'll do the rapid fire. How do you see the next 2 to 3 years of D2C kind of shaking out? Because we had some economic headwinds. We had the COVID bump. A lot of people got over their skis on that, probably took it a little too far. You saw some unwinding. You're seeing some market corrections. But now there's actually some, reticent optimism, if you will, for the upcoming, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, the big Q4 money months, and then going on into the new year. How do you kind of see the next 1, 2, 3 years kind of unveiling for D2C?
I believe this Q4 that we're going into is going to be the biggest we've probably experienced, because this year customer spending has gone down, but customer intentionality has gone up, right? And I mean, we saw a massive Prime Day. I saw some numbers I'd never seen before.
Really?
For some of our brands, they saw a bigger day in their Prime Day than they did last year for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Yeah,
wow.
So it was people are just
fabricated holiday at that. Just a random Amazon was like, we have seasonality, let's change it. We just make it a holiday. It's amazing.
We need it, bro.
If we need it, bro.
As marketers and as consumers, we need it. I people are being more mindful of their dollar. That's truly what it is. And sure, there's sales events that are happening over the next couple of months that we can get excited by. But if you truly think about that line, people are being mindful of their dollar. If you're a marketer, be mindful of the message that you're putting in front of that consumer that helps them, make that decision a lot faster. So tactics are out the door. It's build strategies for the next year, 2 years, 3 years. I think, unfortunately,
I love that.
I think a lot of businesses will either be acquired or not acquired, but I think it will shut down, right? We're going to start to see a lot more brands just shut shop, unfortunately, but the ones that truly are going to scale and are going to find success are the ones that are not over-indexed in a specific channel, right?
Yes.
If you have, I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter because there's sometimes a little echo chamber there, but it's just brand versus performance versus ugly ads versus beautiful ads. I'm listen, we didn't need them all. Every brand needs to be doing it, every single tactic on social that's in opposition with each other. They need to be running that at full tilt. If you were to take Hexflat as an example, that's a beautiful business because they've gotten product dialed in. It starts with product, hands down the best product in that category. They've got scale and shipping and warehouse, all that's dialed in. They've gotten their
leadership team
to a T. Operators know how to build it from a unit economic standpoint for 3 to 5 to 10 to 15 years from now, not 2 months, 3 months from now. They have brought in intentional creator celebrities to help take the brand to the next level. It wasn't something where hey, Gordon, let's have product ideas. And they came up with no, it's not that. Hexa was already a brand before Gordon came in, right? So that was that I think is something that they did really well. And I think a good thing that they also do is they don't over-index on Gordon, right? They have an army of like incredible chefs and creators in that space, but they're also like everywhere else. They're on TikTok, they're on Instagram. Their email marketing game is dialed in. Like, you know, I think there's a lot of examples that we can pull from that. In the sense that brands need to like not just be a Facebook ads business. Brands.
So well put.
Yeah, brands. I think a lot of brands just like are in this like weird season right now where they think landing pages will save your business. Like landing pages are still again a tactic, right? If the messaging on your main page is poor and people don't understand it, just taking that and putting it on the landing page, it's not going to move the needle. I'm sorry to tell you. So like those are some of the things that's getting in the way. Like I think brands need to like approach their business more holistically and truly identify and learn what incrementality is, right? There are obviously a couple of brands that are doing it in a really great way with True Classic. I'm shout out, I'm wearing a hoodie right now.
Yeah.
True Classic's a great example. Hexflat's a great example. These are brands that just came like the last 5 years for them were incredible. Why? Because like they kind of forecasted like 5 to 10 years from now rather than 2 to 3 months now. So I think that's what brands need to kind of like shift their thinking to. And also that's another thing, like when brands come to us and they ask us to run affiliate for them, I'm like, listen, we're only a tactic, by the way. We're one thing you should be doing, right?
A leg on the stool.
Yeah, like don't like a lot of brands will say, oh man, I'm so excited to work with Polishly because you guys have helped these other brands scale. I'm like, no. Sure, we've helped them scale, but like that's because of who they were already before we came in. I'm not taking credit for that, right? So one thing I tell brands is like, hey, we're not here to figure out your business. Like that's not who we are. We're here to scale your business. No one's going to understand.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, man. No one's going to understand your business more than you, the operator. So I think dialing that in is what's going to help a lot of brands like go through the next 2 years and come out of it successful.
Dude, I love that answer, and I couldn't endorse it more. I think what happened was there was this huge arbitrage on paid media, and people were just buying revenue, excuse me. And once that arbitrage went away, they realized they didn't have a business. It was essentially in a way like drop shipping wrapped up in some sort of product. And so I think in a weird way, like I hate to see people's businesses go out of business, people lose jobs, but in a weird way, I find it, healthy for the economy, for the businesses that are real, that have that unit economics, that have this, that are going to persevere. And I think there's just going to be, I don't think the pie is going to shrink. I just think there's going to be less people at the table. So if you can keep your brand at that table, I think you're going to have some really bright years, months ahead of you. Because I totally agree with you. I think there was just some businesses that just candidly weren't businesses, and they were just getting money grabs. And then once that, buying the revenue went away, whether it was Facebook or Google, because whether it's tracking or just, again, the ads were just so mispriced, and now they're pretty accurately priced now that there's no more arbitrage to be had, and they just got caught up with margins. And again, it is what it is. But I love the idea. I love the way you're thinking about that. Rapid fire, you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Bahrain, overrated, underrated?
Oh, underrated, bro.
Underrated.
Even the heat? I mean, you live in Austin. It's the same heat, bro. Like, it's the same heat.
Fair play. We are melting right now.
If you're wearing, like, shorts and you sit in your car, your thighs are going to burn. It's the same thing there. It's the same thing here. You know what I mean?
Fair play.
Absolutely underrated. It's a very humble culture. It's very welcoming. And, dude, best food in the Middle East. Guaranteed. Like,
really?
I will. If you're in Bahrain, please ask me like where to
the
go.
Restaurant
I'll give
Rex?
and I will pay for your meal. Like, trust me.
Let's go.
Yeah. Also, like Formula One's there, so that's the first place Formula One was in the Middle East. So, absolutely underrated. It's a beautiful city, beautiful country. Sorry,
I love that. Overrated, underrated. Toronto. This one stumped you a little bit more than the home country, than the homeland.
I think after COVID, going through COVID, Toronto was
brutal in Canada.
It was brutal in Canada. So part of the reason we left was because of it. So I'd say I'm neutral on that. You know what I mean?
Accurately rated.
Yeah. I'd say before it was definitely like the best city in the world. Like it was like we had 3 weeks of summer and it was unmatched, right? We have like LeBron and Lewis Hamilton coming and spending their summers in Toronto because it's so nice. You know what I mean? And I mean, incredible food, incredible people, but just like, I think the way COVID was handled there was like, I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. You know?
Yeah. No.
Neutral.
I'm a big Toronto in the summer guy, not with the cold, maybe a little bit in the fall, but it is a beautiful city. Have you been to Chicago before?
Yeah, I was just there last month.
Oh yeah, perfect. It reminds me so much of Chicago. Big high rises on the water, et cetera, et cetera. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, overrated, underrated?
I don't rate it. I think it's underrated. You know, I think it's a gift to humanity. If you're, I think it's like
capitalism at its finest.
I was like, I remember like hearing the word, like I was in Bahrain growing up, and my uncle in Atlanta, Uncle Roger, shout out, Lawrenceville, Georgia. He would always be like, yeah, I'm like waiting in line at Best Buy to buy a plasma TV. I'm like, what? Like that's so weird. Like we don't do that in Bahrain. And I'm like, it just, when I heard the idea, I was like, oh, did you have this one day where everything's like on a discount? Heck yeah, like that's awesome, right? So I think it helps, you know, brands in this season. I think it helps people that are being mindful of their dollar. Hell yeah, underrated, man. It's a gift.
Underrated. Let's go.
Yeah, gift for people everywhere. I love it.
Amazing. Advertorials, underrated or overrated?
Ooh, absolutely underrated. Firstly, I'll say like stop doing the 5 reasons why. Like, overplayed. That's overrated. I believe firstly, performance PR like is not a real thing. So like, be mindful of like what that is. I'd say creating a angle and a story and a review or any form of message that you can relay from a third-party source on an advertorial just allows your consumer to make a more informed decision to purchase, right? So nothing does that better than an advertorial. So if you're not spending money on advertorials right now, I would spend more of my energy on advertorials than I would landing pages, to be honest with you. If you go through the Onnit flow, you would see that we have one advertorial that's been running for the last like 3 years of how Joe Rogan stays productive. You know, we wrote that a couple years ago, and it's one of the best performing like pages I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, it's awesome.
Meme marketing, overrated, underrated?
You said meme marketing?
Meme marketing, yeah, like the memes.
Oh, I think it's underrated. I think it's it's a good sign of you know, brands staying on culture, right?
Yeah. That's a good take.
Yeah, it's like the one thing to keep with marketing is like tactics are great, but like if we're not up with the times, bro, like you're behind. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think memes is a great way to stay on trend and stay on culture. My boys Nick and Nick at Truff understand culture more than anyone else. That brand,
they're great.
Like even if I had the opportunity to work with them, I'll never work with them purely because I love them too much. I buy like 2 bottles, 3 bottles a month. I gift it everywhere, but it's like that brand is so on top of culture, right? It's like they know how to evoke emotion. They know how to like be talked about. And I think memes are a part of that, right? You're consistently like going down the route of giving just a conversation starter with your audience. So absolutely underrated.
I love that. Favorite F1 driver?
So 2004, I met Michael Schumacher. So
really,
I got to shake his.
Great. Is he still alive and kicking now, or is like because he's kind of ever since the accident, it's been kind of off the reservation a little bit. He's still alive, right?
He's alive. I think he's in a state of, I think he's paralyzed. I'm not sure. Like there's so many reports there.
I know, right?
I mean, I got to meet him, and like it was my first ever time like going to a race. Like, you know, shook his hand. I met Jensen Button that year. Like Fernando Alonso.
Wow.
Like I met a couple drivers that year. So like that was like, it's like, I don't know. Like if you just discovered basketball, you go to a game and shake hands with Jordan. Like who's your favorite player? Like Isaiah Thomas? No, it's Michael Schumacher, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'd say right now it's Max Verstappen for sure. Or I'd say,
oh, come on. What a bandwagon. I thought you were a Merc guy. Unbelievable.
no, I'm a
Unbelievable.
one guy. I'm not a. Well, let me tell you this, right? Don't watch the
12
Max
in a
race.
row.
Don't watch the Max races today. Watch the Max races from like 4 or 5 years ago.
Even a couple of years ago, right? Like the Dubai finale, and like it was
4 or 5 years
That's
ago.
fair.
Forget the championship years. Like go 2-3 years before that. No one was driving like him. Like he does not care if he loses his life on the track in order to get like 0.1 second advantage. Like he has I don't know if you've seen like the Alex Honnold like documentary where
it's so good.
He doesn't have the amygdala or like the fear, like what that's, I believe Max has no amygdala, like he has no fear. Like it takes a specific type of driver to like be that like cutthroat. So watch the Max races from before. I like Lando. I think he's going to be fun to watch.
They're making a push, right? Zach Brown got it together. Pretty impressive, honestly.
I don't know. Like McLaren's always ups and downs, man. We'll see.
I know,
we'll
fair.
see.
But I mean, it's been pretty consistent compared to where they started, and Oscar looks like an absolute star in the making. If they can keep him. Yeah, both him and Lando.
We're going to go to the race in Italy, and we're going to hang out with the AlphaTauri team, my wife and I. So
Danny Rick.
Yeah,
he's back on.
We're hopefully we get to hang out with Danny Rick a little bit in Monza, so that'll be fun.
Let's go.
I say Schumacher, and right now it's
Schumacher and Max. Schumacher's arguably, I think there is an absolute 100% case to be made of the most dominant athlete ever. I mean, it was, and actually, just a quick side. Do you think that's an issue right now with the parity that's happening? I mean, I guess it's kind of always been like this because candidly, I got into F1 because of Drive to Survive. And those 2 years were so competitive and so fun to watch. And now Max is like, that Red Bull is just a rocket ship. And I think the last weekend it was 33 seconds or something like that. Like it's almost a foregone conclusion. Do you think that's an issue for F1 at all, having parity or competition, or you think those are just the fair weather fans that really don't care about?
Dude, honestly, you see that with every sport, right? You see like the Warriors dominate for a couple of years, then you see the Nuggets dominate, like in basketball. And prior to Red Bull dominating, it was Mercedes like dominated 8 years in a row. That was every race was like Hamilton and Bottas, right? Like every race.
That's fair play.
First and second for 8 years in a row, and before that it was Red Bull for 4 years in a row, and before that it was like Renault with Fernando Alonso, right? So you see the like seasons of like here's the thing, it's like the Formula One car you see today is like years in the making. So like they go through the process of building that car in order to be like dominant a couple of years, and then they pass the baton over to somebody else. So like I feel like if you look at the sport holistically over the last couple of years, like over a decade or like two, like you're able to kind of see that, hey, you kind of see people come in and out of dominating. But yeah.
That's a good take. That's a good take. Favorite F1 track? What do you think the best course is? Best track?
Bahrain.
Yeah. It's a street circuit, yeah?
No. It's a circuit.
It's off. Okay.
Yeah, I think Bahrain had no like
it's a homer
sport. Pick. Yeah, we had no like sport in the country, right? Like we had a soccer team, like it's not great, but like when Formula One came, it kind of brought the entire country together to like celebrate this one thing. And I mean, I've spent so much time on that track. I've go-karted on that track. I've done like races, like running on that track. I played a concert at that track. So like, I don't know, man, like it's home. I was able to take my entire family to the track earlier this year, like bring my dad into the garage and like hang out with someone. That's like
cool.
Nick DeVries actually, like that was fun. But Bahrain, bro, like hell yeah, man.
R.I.P.
Yeah, dude. Oh man. Yeah.
Got. Dude, that probably the most ruthless sport, honestly. Like, what have you done for me lately? Type of sport. But yeah,
dude, I guess one is the way I build my team is very much like that. One of my
have to, right?
Yeah, I mean it's a cutthroat world, and
it is what it is. Yeah,
I mean a lot of my journey has taught me where you can either have excuses or results, but you can't have both, right?
Yeah,
you absolutely cannot have both, and that's the case with everything, bro. Everything. So there's a lot of parallels with F1 and business. And, you know, you can ask anyone on my team, just like the amount of F1 analogies I have is wild. But like, yeah, dude, there's so much learning there.
Totally with you.
I agree. I love it. I love the fact that it's so cutthroat. There's 20 drivers in our world competing, you know, and you have to be the best to keep your seat.
You have to be the best. Yeah, I love that. One last F1 question, and I know we might be boring people, but you're just such an F1 aficionado. What do you think about the Vegas circuit? No, why am I the one? That's everybody's answer. I'm so stoked for it. Like at night, shutting down the strip. Like what a bananas idea. Who thought of this? And I think it's so cool. Like I don't know. The street circuits just hit different for me, where there's chaos. Like you think of Monaco or something, like that circuit would never be greenlit now, and it's just chaos. So I don't know. I love the street circuits. I think they're interesting, and to shut down one of the biggest thoroughfares in the States just so you can throw a race on it in one of the most over-the-top cities. I don't know. I think it's awesome. At night, I think it's awesome.
Well, I'll tell you this. For the first year, it's going to be incredible. Like this year is going to be awesome, right? Patty and I, my co-founder, we're trying to go. And I think the first year is going to be awesome. I think next year it's going to be a boring race to watch. Like if you're a race fan, right?
That's fair.
Yeah, because it's like literally straights. Like it's all straights, bro. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
So I think if you're, it's the same thing with Miami. Like this year they saw a dip in attendance and viewership because it's not a fun race to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's fair place
to be there. I think it's going to be an awesome like thing to go to. But like even the drivers have kind of said it like, hey, they're excited about it, but it's kind of a write-off. You know what I mean? It's kind of like
that's a fair. I think that's a fair take. Okay, a couple more questions. Favorite meal and why?
Oh, chicken biryani.
Oh, yeah. Let's go to India and let's get it done.
Yeah, I love chicken biryani.
Let's go. Favorite place to travel to and why?
Iceland. It felt like I was going to a different planet.
I love that.
And we road trip through it, and it was like every 2 hours, it felt like you were in a different country altogether. It's like the whitest white, and then red, soil, and then black sand, and like I'm like, what's going on here? What is this place?
That's Reykjavik, right? With the big crazy church there.
Yeah. So it's like that's the city, but like it's a giant loop across the country, right? And it's
cool.
It's like the sheep there look so badass, and like the
that's amazing.
The horses are like beautiful. I'm like, man, what is this place? Like, what is going on? It's like horses from Spirit, man. Like, first I saw the Spirit movie when I was a kid. I was like, where's it? Like, what kind of horse is this? Like, they got their horse inspiration from Iceland, bro. Iceland for sure. I love it.
Iceland. I love it. Okay, last question. If you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, fictional or non-fictional, who would it be? So you're sitting at a 4-person table. You're at the head. Who's getting an invite from Aaron?
Oof. Dead or alive. I'd love to sit with Billy Graham. Yep. I love to sit with I like to have dinner with Ayrton Senna.
For people that don't know, another F1 legend, probably arguably I think Schumacher's probably bigger than him, but Senna's in the same category for sure.
Yeah, Senna kind of paved the way for a lot of people to be cutthroat today. Yep. So and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah.
Love me some Arnold. He has a really incredible story. He's a really interesting guy.
5 times.
He's so good.
Yeah,
so good.
It was awesome.
And if you want the real, go watch Pumping Iron. Even crazier documentary. That's the OG. Aaron, this has been incredible, man. We pushed almost an hour and 10 minutes, so let's wrap it up. How can people get involved with you? How do they book a mentor call pass? How can they get more involved with Paul Street? This time is yours, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, man. Mentor pass, just find me on there if you wanted to jam about affiliate. And honestly, if you didn't want to go through mentor pass, like just let me know and I'll hook Kenny up on the side. And Paul Street, here's the thing, like, affiliate, is a very difficult channel to scale. And we're not claiming to be the ones that drive you the most amount of scale, but we are going to be the best at approaching it the right way for your brand. We started the business in January. We're at 15 people already full time. We're going to be probably at 20, 25 by next year. In February, we're onboarding like 5 to 8 brands a month, all above like 30 to 40 million a year in revenue. So if you're ready to really like turn the gas on with affiliate, especially heading into Q4, hit your boy up and we'll take care of you. We'll set you up. We'll make you love affiliate.
Amazing. Aaron, dude, this has been such an awesome jam session. You enlightened me on so many different things, and I'm gonna actually have to go back and re-listen to this because you were dropping bars all over the place. So I really appreciate you taking the time out, my man.
Do you think? I mean, we're in the same city and we're doing this over. So let's get coffee later tonight.
I know. Yeah, the studio has been requisitioned, so we'll have to definitely do coffee. We're actually doing. If you're in town, we're gonna do a little happy hour on Thursday, getting some people together. So I'll send you over the deets there. If you want to get more involved with Triple Whale, we are at triplewhale.com. Go ride the lightning and schedule your demo today. If you want to sign up for the best D2C newsletter on the planet, you can go do so at triplewhale.com/whalemail. We send one out every Tuesday, Thursday. Don't miss out. And then if you can, leave a review. And then if you also want to see our pretty faces as well as listen to us, we have all of our podcasts up on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/triplewhale. That's it, folks. Another ROAS in the books. AP, again, I appreciate you, brother. We'll talk soon.
All right, and appreciate you.
Bye-bye.